Mental health is something that affects everyone, from any walk of life, no matter what sex, colour or religion. In today's show, myself and Russell talk openly about mental health through very personal experiences as well as friends and family who have suffered, and how a nomination for doing 25 push-ups got us to this podcast. If you're in a bad place right now, feeling down or just overwhelmed, please reach out and talk to someone. You can message myself and Russell, find us on Facebook, or even give us a call on 086 943 7840. Enjoy the show. Welcome to the podcast.
Hey Jay, how you doing, mate?
We are here.
Excuse me while I have a quick slurp.
Okay. We are here at Canine Point Academy, Russell's new dog training facility and luxury spa retreat for those dogs in need.
And for those that are obviously wondering, we haven't piped in the sound of a dog panting. It is actually the sound of a dog panting in the background.
I'm not sure you'll be able to hear him, but okay, if you can hear a dog panting in the background, I've brought my my stepdog. I brought my stepdog with me. I'm allowed him on Monday afternoons. So we're recording this Monday afternoon. Now, this is a Jay and Russell podcast.
Ooh, we haven't done this for ages.
No, we haven't done this for a long time. And there's a reason for it that
We've been busy.
Yeah, both been busy. And we've had guests. But I think that this week, or not say this week, last week, you were invited by somebody to do some sort of press-up challenge. Are you burping?
I did, yes.
That was good that you moved the
microwave
away. The microphone away.
Well, it wasn't just anyone. It was Danny O.
Yeah, the Big Dan. Hello, Big Dan.
Hey,
listen to his podcast, Inside the Big Dan, which is a pornography cosplay. It's a pornography porn star. I don't know where that's going, really. This was supposed to be a serious podcast, and it hasn't gone that way. But no, Danny O, our friend Danny O, lives in Singapore. Hello, Danny O.
Hey, Dan.
Nominated Distance Russell to do 25 press-ups a day, which I believe is to highlight mental health. Is that correct?
Pretty much, yeah. So, I mean, you know how social media works. As every 5 minutes there's a
ice bucket challenge.
An ice bucket challenge. I mean, to be honest, I think that was the last one of these sort of challenges I actually did. And certainly, also through the whole sort of COVID-19 sort of thing, there's been,
TikTok
challenges. There's been, your 10 movies of all time. Just challenge.
10 albums. Actually, I have to say, and I'm going to just Danny O did ask me and nominated me to do my 10 top end albums. Yeah. Unfortunately, and I think I don't do this stuff.
No, that was my point.
Okay.
That was exactly the point I was going to make.
Have I jumped in too early?
You have, yeah. Just once again, you've come too early. Yeah.
Every time. The 2 times it didn't happen.
Yeah, quite. But
hello, Ashton. Hello, Zahara.
So, yeah. But, I'm with you. I just don't. I might do one just, I like this album, but I'm not going to do it on a daily basis. I'm not happy. However, with this particular one, a couple of reasons. One is the cause itself, which is to raise awareness for mental health issues, particularly in men. Not that women don't have mental health issues, but this is particularly focused towards
They're
us
just
chaps.
mental.
They're just mental. And given the fact that I lost a friend to suicide just a couple of weeks ago, putting all that together, it just kind of felt, you know what, I'll jump on the bandwagon with this.
And you have an idiot sat opposite you that has possibly gone through some mental health challenges and sometimes
who is a mental health challenge.
Yeah, a little bit.
Which we'll come on to. So, just decided to do this particular challenge. And another friend, Rob, Rob and Jess.
May I, before you indeed, tell everybody the whole thing? And
because we've had them both on the pod, so it's worth mentioning.
We have. Rob, Sexy Rob, Six-Pack Rob, Washboard Stomach Rob, Rob of Robness from Wales. Lovely Rob. His name's Rob.
Rob Morgan, yeah.
Thanks, because I couldn't remember his surname.
I was going to let that run for a little while.
Rob of Robness. You nominated Rob Morgan.
I did, yes.
From KIS.
KIS Fitness. Keep it simple fitness.
Yep. To do the 25 press-up challenge. And Now, this is something I might edit in. In fact, I'm going to edit in. He sent this message across his Facebook feed.
He did indeed.
I've been nominated by my client and very good friend, Russell. Cheers, Russell. To take part in the 25 push-up challenge. Okay, so for those of you who don't know or haven't seen, you complete 25 push-ups every day for 25 days. You record yourself doing it, post it onto Facebook, and nominate somebody else to do the same thing and to pass it on. Okay, and the idea is to raise awareness for PTSD, anxiety, depression, and mental illnesses that lead to men committing suicide. Okay, now I did something very similar back in 2016, except it was 22 push-ups a day for 22 days. Same thing, nominate somebody to pass it on. Okay, but this time it was specific to veterans and servicemen that committed suicide. Okay, and it was for the charity 22 Kill. So I completed this challenge. For those of you that might remember, every day for 22 days, I banged on my 22 push-ups, I posted on Facebook, and then I nominated somebody else to do the same thing. Okay, it raised awareness, and it raised a little bit of money along the way as well, which was great. Okay, but 3 months after the challenge, one of the very men that I nominated actually took his life and committed suicide. And I've known multiple people since that have done the same thing. So the question I'm now asking myself is me taking part in this challenge and doing 25 push-ups and posting on Facebook enough? Can I do more? Can I ask more of myself? Okay, now while I do support the 25 push-up challenge and it's great, and I commend anybody that's taking part in it to help raise awareness, I'm going to demand more of myself. Now my business, my online coaching business, my mission is to help simplify health and fitness to give men the knowledge and confidence that they need to live healthier and happier lives. Okay, so this is something that's close to my heart and it's something I've researched. In the UK, the biggest risk factor to men under 45 is suicide. Okay? Men are more likely to die from suicide under 45 than anything else, any other illness. Any road traffic accidents, cancer, whatever it may be, suicide is the biggest risk. Okay, think about that for a moment. The biggest threat to men's lives, is themselves. Okay, men in the UK are 3/4 more likely to commit suicide than women. They're 75% more likely to commit suicide than women. In Australia, they're 3 times more likely, and in the USA, they're 3.5 times more likely. So this is an issue that is disproportionately affects men. Okay, so I'm demanding more of myself, and I'm going to do more. Firstly, I'm going to make myself available to anybody that feels they need to talk. Okay, there's a stigma surrounding mental and emotional well-being around men. Okay, we think that it shows weakness to talk about our feelings and to talk about our emotions. We think that it shows weakness to seek for help. Okay, but I'm here to anybody that needs me. Like I said, I've helped many men overcome obstacles and difficulties in their lives to create significant changes. Okay, so while I'm no expert in this field, and I know it's a very sensitive topic, okay, I do have an element of experience in it. So I am here to talk, whether it's reaching out through a message or whether it's through jumping on a phone and tackling these issues head on. Okay, I'm here. Secondly, I'm going to create some more open discussions around these issues. So I'm going to create some more content. I'm going to post some more videos like this to help men understand that it's okay to talk and we don't always have to bottle up our feelings and our emotions, and there are people that are willing to help. Okay, I'm going to openly discuss some topics to hopefully get more men engaging and to thinking about these things and to understanding that there is a different way.
So that's Rob's message.
And I completely agree with that. I think it's brilliant. And what I was thinking also I might do with one of my next videos is add some of that in, because the stats are quite scary.
Well, so basically, for those who didn't listen to that, who should have just listened to that, Rob's basically not going to do the 25, what they call press-ups a day, and just basically putting himself out there
as an
for
open
a chat.
door for anyone that wants to reach out.
Which is a really lovely thing to do, and I think that probably is. There are two ways. I guess there's many ways to show support and to show kindness and love. You doing your 25 press-ups. Now, I have to say, I think some people were upset with you that you didn't make your dogs do the 25 press-ups. Which I felt was a bit harsh, laughing at a major problem in life that men do have, mainly men, because the suicide rate is mainly men, and that's not me being sexist. This is actually
it's 60% plus, and this is international, not just in Thailand, not the UK, it's just globally. It's predominantly men that are falling foul to the perils of suicide.
And I don't think this is not just about suicide. This is about mental health as a whole, because mental health can affect you. I mean, you don't sometimes just want to kill yourself. Sometimes you just don't want to be around anybody, or don't want to see anybody, or just want to be locked away, or you just, you're I mean, I could go on and on and on about how the feelings that you get when you're feeling a bit
down, depressed.
Well, this is something I wanted to bring up with you. And hopefully you was going to ask the question of what's the difference between being depressed and just feeling a bit sad. And I was going to answer it, but I've asked you that question. So, Russell, what's your view? There we go. That's a better question. So, Russell, what is your views on the difference between someone who's just a bit sad, having a bad day or a bad week, to someone who's depressed?
When you're depressed, you're always depressed. For me, it's that simple. Depression isn't something, but I used to have depression, but I'm fine now. Really? If you clinically have clinical depression, it's with you. It's part of you. It's the whole sort of black dog demon that's always there. And that's the hard reality that people that suffer it have to perhaps face.
I'd like to thank you for that comment, because now I feel so much better about myself.
But it then becomes a coping process of how to manage and deal with that black dog. And through those coping mechanisms and being able to process, you learn how to control it. And it allows you to live and I hate using the term, a normal life, but it's just the depression itself isn't as sapping. It isn't as draining. You're not left with those feelings that you have at the beginning where you just, whether it's I can't go on, or I just don't want to see anyone, or I don't want to get out of bed, whatever it is, you learn to control, identify what the triggers are, identify how to control it, what works and what doesn't work for you. And whether that's, for some people, it might just be something as simple as talking to people about it. For others, it might be they need a complete life change, whether that's, getting rid of a particular circle of friends, finding a new one that works and helps them in that particular, people do face different challenges with it. But yeah, we all have bad days. We all have days when you just think, I just can't be arsed. I don't want to see that person. I don't want to see anyone. I want to stay in bed. I just don't feel, But for the most of us, that's the one-offs.
Can I ask some questions? And this is some questions I'm going to be very honest, because...
And can I just also raise the fact that I am not an expert. There might be professionals listening and going, what the fuck is this idiot talking about? And I accept that.
You've dealt with depression from the side of being a friend, let's say. I don't know how much depression you've experienced apart from...
A fair amount.
Yeah. So I have questions, and I don't know if this is normal people's thoughts or not normal people's thoughts. And this is where I get confused, and this is where sometimes, from my point of view, when I dealt with my major depression, and I still think I'm depressed, and I think I always will be. I think that's part of my mental psyche, and that's never going to... I agree. I don't think it's ever going to go away. And you saw me last week when I just said to you, I'm just having a bad week. Yeah. I've got no... I think I know what triggered it. But do normal people have thoughts about suicide? Do normal people have thoughts about just not wanting to do anything? And I just don't understand if that's a normal thought process that people have.
So I'm trying not to say there's normal people and there's depressed people. I think both are the same. We're all the same. And you can have anyone on any given day. If the day has just been that, take what's happening at the minute. All right, there are people out there that have lost family members to this virus. They might have lost their job. They might be on the brink of losing their house. They have no idea what the next 6 months, 12 months hold for them. There are people in really, really, really dark situations. Now, up until COVID-19 striking, would these people have been depressed? maybe not. Maybe they like the life and soul of the party. But whatever has happened has just happened. And that's really belted them for 6. So are they going through maybe I should have taught myself that would be easier? Maybe. It's not too far a leap to suggest if they're just in that dire moment, I can't afford to pay bills, I can't afford to pay rent, I've got no food in the fridge, my mum's just died or someone's just died and all of this. It's not hard to make a link to say, well, yeah, I could see someone thinking that.
Here's a question then, okay.
But does that mean they're depressed?
Well, that's...
As in clinically depressed?
Well, I don't... See, here's my point. I'm not in a situation where I've got enough money in my life each month to pay my bills. I had a steak last night.
Check you out.
Huh?
Check you out.
I know, it was all right, actually. I can afford to go and buy a bottle of wine if I wanted to buy a bottle of wine. Not that I'm drinking wine, but if I could. But I still feel... So is there a difference between someone who's in a really shit place where they've hit rock bottom because of whatever reason, COVID virus or losing their job or whatever, and they commit suicide because they just can't afford anything, and then there's me who I can afford stuff, but I still have days where I just want to say, that's it. I'd rather not wake up tomorrow.
Yeah, but depression isn't linked to material wealth or lack thereof.
But that's my...
I mean, it can be a trigger. It can certainly be a... and certainly is in a lot of people's cases. That's the...
Oh, no, for sure.
The straw that breaks the camel's back, as it were. But it's not the be-all and end-all.
It's interesting because I don't know if I'm just...
Okay, so let me give you my personal experience with it.
Yes.
Right? So, as you know, went to the States 2009, 2010 to do my dog training. Loved it.
You was there for a year, weren't you?
Pretty much the year, yeah.
Best year of my life.
Best year of mine as well. It's brilliant. Came back here for another year, was offered a job back at the same place as an instructor, which for me at the time was like, that's where I want to be. It's my dream job. That's my life plan. Finally, at whatever age that was, taking off. This is me. I finally reached that point. I know where my life plan, my career plan is going to go. Brilliant. And then within making obviously a long story short, within a few weeks, really, I realized that dream wasn't ever on the table. It was crushed. So I'm now at this place and the dream has died. And it's now a case of, well, I might as well stay here and work through to try and recoup some of the money I've actually lost getting here in the first place, knowing at some point I was going to be coming back here because there was no real out that I had at the time. And when I came back, it was a case, so this is back end of 2012, I had no idea what I was going to do. Hadn't been here long enough with my qualifications to have built anything up. I had a couple of clients, but nothing substantial. And I didn't have any savings. I'd sold the car to get to the States. I didn't have anything. So I was really starting again. And as we know, Phuket, generally to start something, it's tough. And so at the time I was in such a weird headspace. I had no idea what I wanted to do. Someone suggested to get into offshore. Wilco boy, Mark Wilkinson. He'd got into health and safety, suggested I do the same. And just to try to help out and give you some ideas. Yeah, all right. So I jumped on that. I'll go and do that. Went to Singapore, did a course there for 3 weeks, passed it, got the base qualification. And then it was a case of, well, if you really want to get into that kind of racket, you're not going to get into it from here. You should really be over in the UK or somewhere and get replaced back out this way. And then it just became such a ball ache. And it was just, at that time, I just felt I've got nothing. I'm worth nothing. I'm worthless. This is just, I couldn't cope. I just didn't know what to do. Couldn't really talk to Em, couldn't talk to anyone. Just felt, this is it. I don't know what's next. Went to the professionals, and for those watching in black and white, I use the quotes there. The professional system here, in terms of the Thai hospitals, from my personal view, they haven't got a fucking Scoobies. They do not know what they're talking about. It's, so how are you feeling? I feel like shit. Well, here's some medication, off you pop. They don't know how to talk and analyze. Not that I do, but that certainly doesn't help. And I've heard this subsequently from other people. There just isn't a system here. It's just medicate. So I was on these antidepressants for a little while, just thinking, and I just felt numb. Which is like, I've got zero emotional capacity, zero ability to breathe, move, do anything. This isn't working. And at that sort of stage, I'm thinking I need to do something else because this path isn't working for me. I'm in a hole. I had enough, I guess, wherewithal to say I should try something else, not knowing what that would be. It just meant getting off the meds. And then around about the same time as when Stuart had his tragic accident on his bike, and someone said, can I go and run Coral Sea? Because Stuart's unable to. And that just gave me, the luck of it, if you like, was it gave me a path. Not that I wanted that particular role or that job, but it just gave me something to latch on to then carry on from there.
I think that's interesting because for me, it was all about trying to find new, and this is where it comes in. So I don't see, I'm now questioning if I have depression or if I was just in a really, really bad place. After the breakup and then the moving out and just not knowing what was going on and losing what I thought was everything, which was being a family. I mean, it's different for different people. Yeah. So now I'm feeling a little bit kind of guilty that maybe I wasn't depressed and maybe I was just sad and maybe I should just get over it.
So, I mean, part of it, there's the classic line. It's just, just buck up, put a smile on, and let's, brave it out.
Show must go on, baby.
The show's got to go on. And I place some weight with that. Because at the end of the day, what's gone is gone. We can't change it. It is what it is. It is what it is. You have to just...
Sorry, what was that voice?
It was just a line from... what was it? The Irishman.
Right, never seen it.
It is what it is. Anyway.
Was that your Irish accent?
No, it's not my Irish accent. It was just...
Oh, okay. Sorry.
From the film. But anywho... but yeah, shit happens. And most of the time, there's not a lot we can do about it. And I think there's also a case of, in terms of guilt. So, from my perspective, was I feeling guilty to myself, to my family, for my own failings? Were you feeling guilty for yourself, for your kids, for your ex-wife, for the situation that you had? It was your doing, or my situation was my doing. And a lot of the time, it's actually not. So we're feeling guilty, but it's not actually necessarily our fault. The fault is that we're allowing the guilt to hang around and eat at us. But the actual cause of that guilt in the first place might not have been our fault.
I didn't feel guilty.
Cool.
I did not feel guilty. I just felt...
like shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I felt dark. I felt lost. I felt that I'd lost everything. Mm-hmm. But I hadn't lost everything. I just didn't know how to handle what was... But
you still have me.
I do still have you. And maybe this made our friendship stronger, was the fact that, we did kind of... And I then dragged you into my stupid ideas of... But one of the things I wanted to say was that unfortunately, the tragic accident to Stuart gave you the opportunity to go into Coral Seekers. Other seekers are available, of course. That then changed your mentality and changed your mindset of where you were at the time. But let me continue before you jump in and say, no, I'm wrong, because I know you will. For me, it was about setting a goal. And I think that the key thing was the first ever stand-up... I say stand-up show, it wasn't a stand-up show, but that first ever thing of getting on stage, learning to sing a song, trying to learn how to hip-hop dance, they were challenges that I set myself because I felt that that's what I needed to get out of my drollness. And I'm going to use a drollness because I think it's a good word. So is this a key? And we talked to someone last week, and that was something that we kind of did mention, is it about setting yourself some new goals, some new challenges to try to then give your brain something else to think about rather than thinking about the dullness and the drollness? My
short answer for me would be yes.
And we're both doing the same hand motion on the desk in a chopping motion, which is weird.
Well, the chopping point for me is this is the now. So I don't think someone should be able to sit here and say, I'm depressed about what is going to happen.
No.
Because we've no control over what's going to happen tomorrow. And if you want to be depressed about, and again, taking the current situation, and we've all gone through the roller coaster the last few months. I've just opened this facility. I've got a lot tied up in it.
He has Canine Point Academy. If you want to come and help him,
please do.
Get over his depression.
Please do, yeah. But yeah, there's never a good time for a virus like this to hit, but it just, as I'm opening doors, we've got to close doors, and businesses all but died. So yeah, I can sit and kind of think, what's going to happen in the next 6 months? But it's the cliche, I could get hit by a bus tomorrow. There's no point worrying about whether my cash flow.
I'll tell you what, you've got more chance in Phuket getting hit by a minibus than a bus.
Yeah. But the point was, it's everything that's gone on and led us up to this point where the depression is going to cycle through. So as much as I place some weight into the argument that, you've just got to say, you know what, what's done is done. This is me now, and I'm moving forward. It's very easy to say that. It's incredibly difficult to let go of the baggage that we all drag with us. So now there are things that come along and help us to do that, whether it's meeting someone new, developing a new friendship, developing a new skill, a new mindset, a new pathway that allows us to think, actually, you know what, this is really cool. I don't have the time and energy to drag this shit with me. I'm going to let go of it because I feel comfortable letting go to continue on this path. And I also think a lot of the time with depression, there's a comfort in being depressed and being in that darkness. We feel, you know what, as much as I hate this, it's really comfy and it's really easy.
And I'm nodding at you because I've quite enjoyed, and it's interesting because I do proclaim to enjoy the lockdown.
Yeah.
Especially the 3 weeks where we were properly locked down in our
couldn't see anyone anyway. Yeah.
Couldn't see anyone anyway, and and the roads were empty and there was no one around. The swimming pool was closed at our thing, so I enjoyed that because it to me that was in my comfort zone of being alone. So I'm kind of used to that, and I kind of liked it. And you're right, I don't, maybe I'm now in the situation where I'm not using it as an excuse because that's not the right word. Because I don't ever use it as an excuse. I hope I don't anyway. But I'm using it to almost control my life. That I'm not getting out and going out more. And I could if I wanted to. But maybe I'm just saying, I know because I'm still a bit depressed and I'm down. And but I'm actually. Am I not explaining that very well?
No, I know what you mean. You're hiding behind it. So if I was to say to you, hey, look, we're going to pop out for not that we can go out for beers, but if we're going to pop out for a beer and a chat, come and join us and what have you, your default reaction might be, I'm going to say no because I'd rather just go home and just chill out. So, and that's now a default, but whereas before it started with that's maybe what you needed, but it's just become the norm. So now it's a default position. So you just go home and chill out. You're in that comfort of, it's okay, I'm on my own. And therefore not learning the new pathway that, if I'd gone out, I might have actually had some fun. It might have been shit, but I also might have had some fun. But if you don't try it, you don't learn those new pathways.
Well, no, that's the thing. It's the same with starting a podcast. I'm never going to get this word, I pronascitated.
Delayed.
I put off doing a podcast for months and months and months.
Mm-hmm.
And then we just finally just said, you know what, let's just do it. Let's just see what happens. And we did it. And then we're now on this will be the 30-something odd episode. So it's a case of just getting up your ass. But sometimes it's difficult to get off your ass. I guess it's like starting out training when you're fat and you just want to go. And that first week of training where it's so hard, it's horrible, and you see no results. The second week, no results. The third week, no results. And it's not till 4 months down the road you say, I've lost a little bit of weight. Or someone says, you've lost a bit of weight.
I would actually argue it's a bit longer than that. It's usually the case of once you've gone really hard and worked and been going to the gym and working out and running and all of that. And then for whatever reason, you stop for a couple of weeks.
And then you see the difference.
And it's when you've stopped, and then you think, and you try and start again, and you think, fuck me, I really was actually quite fit and quite lean. But then that's looking back. But no, it's a good analogy, because we've all got to start somewhere. So, I mean, and crikey, we're all like, we've all got to lose a bit of weight, we've all got to tone up, and it's the Instagram lifestyle that we're all trying to aspire to these days.
Rob Morgan, yeah, everyone wants to look like Rob. Handsome beast.
Yeah, he's that handsome bastard, isn't he? Yeah. Nobody likes him, really. But that's the aspiration, whether it's right or wrong. That's kind of what people sort of, I wish I could just look like that. So, and we're never going to look like that. So, but that's our judgment. And because we know we're never going to look like that, just what's the point in making the effort? And that's where the issue.
Yeah, and
So,
bring that back to the mental health is you're in that same mindset.
I'm never going to be that happy. So why even fucking try?
Why can I be? No, I don't want to throw a name out there. But there's happy people on this island.
There's happy people everywhere.
Okay, but people are perceived as happy, and maybe they're not happy, but maybe it's just a perception. Perception is reality.
Mm-hmm.
I seem to be perceived as a miserable git, which means, is that reality? Am I that miserable?
So, the only one that can genuinely answer that question is you. I don't think you are. And again, for you, you've got there's Jay the Shark, the persona, and there's Jay the Shark, that's you.
Yes.
And they are very different people.
Well, one's not Russian.
Yeah, he is sometimes. Although,
he is
with the
sometimes.
beard, he's kind of looking at.
Yeah.
So Jay the Shark, the persona, doesn't matter whether he's miserable, depressed, insanely happy, high as a kite, whatever, it doesn't really matter. It's down to you as the individual, how you genuinely feel. Now, yes, within that, it's difficult to define because, today I feel amazing. Tomorrow, I feel like shit. Oh, I'm amazing. Oh, I feel like shit. We all have up and down days. And again, just with the current environment that we're living in, it's difficult to really have a settled level, if you like, because it is a bit of a roller coaster. So no, I don't think you're miserable. I do think that you maybe even subconsciously play into the I'm Jay, the miserable, depressed guy, because that's a persona, that's an image that you can portray and people can recognize.
Does that mean, was I the Jay miserable, depressed guy back when I was before everything happened?
No.
So I was Jay the fun-loving guy, and then
Yeah.
all of a sudden I get divorced, and then I've gone into my set two. I've come into my preset of depressed, miserable.
And to be fair, what you went through was huge. You went through a divorce. I don't want to recount it, relive it for you on the moment, but yeah, you've gone through a divorce. The life that you felt that you had and were set up to go towards is now, poof, not there anymore.
We won't mention the financial stuff.
No. Well, but again, the economics of it, the general mechanics of it, the kids, just everything turns upside down, and that's massive to deal with. And again, you're in an environment where there isn't really a lot of support networks here.
So from that though, so maybe I am playing on. Maybe I do tweak
Dial
it up a little, dial it up, and I guess I take that from my wrestling, my love of wrestling.
Yeah.
Where the best characters in wrestling, the ones that you know best, are just themselves dialed up to 10.
Yeah.
So maybe I'm playing on that, or maybe I am taking that too far. But then, you've got the likes of my strongman video, you've got the likes of the stuff I do, which isn't...
No, and that's terrific. But that's you. So, and again, but like, take the strongman video as an example.
And if you haven't seen the strongman video, you should, because it's friggin' awesome.
Because you're fucking missing out if you haven't seen that. But yeah, to take that as a snapshot, it was brilliant. And then, that came from the whole sort of shaving sort of video and stuff that we did. And I said, well, hold on, you've got to do a few photos of people that we can mention and people that we probably shouldn't. So yeah, all of which looked, and those photos were amazing. It was just like that. That's brilliant. But in talking to you about it, and because we had a few messages back and forth, what do you think about this? Or should I do this? And I'm going to get this done for the video. There was no, I was going to say no emotion there. There was no, I'm trying to help you out of a funk, but at the same time, there was no, you're off on another planet. It was just you sort of in the middle. Oh, I'm going to do this kind of cool thing, which was very cool and came out very cool. But that's you. That's not the persona.
Oh, I'm confused who I am now.
Yeah. Who are you,
Who
Jay?
am I, Russell?
How
am I ever going to find
That's
out who I
another
am?
podcast.
So, I think...
But ultimately, for me, am I the happiest person on the planet? No, I try to, on a daily basis, center myself. And yeah, there's days when I feel pretty dark. And it's particularly on those days that I recognize that, all right, there's a black dog cloud circling. I need to be more centered. I have a ballpark idea of the direction I'm trying to go in. I can't control completely whether I'm going to get there or not, but I'll control what I can control, as cliched as that sounds. But I make a conscious effort not to drag any of my old baggage up with me. Whether that's right or wrong, again, I'm no expert, but...
Interesting. I've learned a lot in this conversation, I think.
And I think that the key point of it was, and again, why I said I would do this challenge for Danny, and why I'm echoing what Rob said as well.
Rob Morgan, his name is.
Oh, thank you.
Just check.
You're going to edit out the first bit.
No, I'm not. No.
Is to say is that, again, no, I'm not an expert. I'm not a shrink. I'm not a counsellor. I don't know any of this stuff. But at the same time, my door is open to anyone that wants to reach out, message, email, phone call, and say, I need some help. I need someone to chat to. And I think that's by far and away the most important commitment that any of us could make to help, is to get people to talk about it. I don't think there's anything wrong with talking about bad shit that has happened and helping to understand it. And in some ways helping us to realize what bits that we thought were so important and so integral to our very being. But actually, when you really analyze it and look at it, you think, you know what, that's really not important to who I am. It might have been back then, but actually, right now, it's not integral to who I am and what I need to move forward. And the only way we get to learn that, I think, is through talking it through.
Yeah, I think that was the one thing that really opened my eyes, was being able to talk about it. And actually talking to you about it. I think I'd already talked about you about it. But being able to stand up on stage and say it to... there's only 40 people there. So it wasn't... Let's not say that... I'm not talking about a massive kind of huge stadium of people where I'm standing up saying, hey, everyone, I'm depressed. I tried to commit suicide. I hope let's have a good night of comedy.
But that was I was going to say the end result, but that was down the line. There were times way prior to that meeting, I'd get a call, okay, can I join you for a walk? And that became a semi-regular occurrence from you. I'd get a text or a phone call, can I join you for a walk? And I knew that if I got that message, shit was low, something had happened, and I knew what was coming.
You're right. I think you're right. That was my default. I needed to have a conversation with somebody.
Part of that was the precursor of you're about to fucking explode. You needed an outlet, and I just happened to be it. So, and there would be days that we would walk and you wouldn't really be saying much, but I knew, waiting for you, I'm trying to draw it out, but at the same time, just letting you do it in your own time, because that's what you needed. And you went from that to being able to stand up on stage and say, hi, I'm Jay the Shark, and I decided I wanted to kill myself, but thankfully didn't.
Yeah.
And that's an incredible leap.
No, it is incredible.
Probably a really bad expression to use.
Yeah, it probably was. Not as bad as the expression I used the other day, though, in the conversation that we had. We'll leave that one. No, and I think also the one thing for me is I remember going on to one of the radio stations, I think at 91.5. No, sorry, 89.5. And I was on the Donna Toon lunch show. And I mentioned then about the depression and how I was feeling and what I went through. And actually someone came to me 6-7 months, maybe 12 months down the line, and actually said they heard that and they felt, they gave me a hug and said, it was really good that you opened up about it. And I think that the important thing is when you are feeling down, and as a man, and this is a key thing, it's really embarrassing because we go through this. Now, I'm going to sound sexist, but back in the day, you were called a faggot, you would call a girl, you were called a pussy. If you didn't, if you weren't a supposedly a man's man, if you weren't in the pub afterwards, if you had a shandy in the pub after a game of football, you were called a puff.
Yeah.
And that's how it was. That was society. And rightly or wrongly, I'm not even going to start touching on that whole fucking debate.
But God forbid... But you should be upset about something.
God forbid you were sad.
Yeah.
God forbid you were crying. Unless you were stabbed in the heart with a frigging knife or you're about to die, then you can maybe have a tear in your eye. Men didn't cry. That wasn't how it was. And so to someone to stand up and say, I'm so sad. I was driving around the island in my car in floods of tears, wanting to go and kill myself because I just given up. To say that as a man was really, really tricky. Even just to say that I'm sad. Even just to say I'm upset. About nothing. Yeah,
but I mean, I dare say our generation is perhaps the last generation that's being brought up this way. Just there's so much.
Do you think? I still think that
I don't know. I mean, there's still so much generational shift.
There is a generation shift, and there's a generation of shift. And we're probably getting off the whole. No, we're not. We can still touch it. There is a generation of shift that's changing, especially for racism and trying to. But I think that's actually creating more of a problem, and that's creating a tribalism issue, which is another big issue we can talk about, because I think tribalism is actually a terrible thing, and that's one of the reasons I don't really like football anymore and I don't watch football anymore, is because of the tribalism that comes with it.
Okay, can we have a little flag?
What's the
Right,
flag?
we're gonna come back to this because I do believe in tribalism, and we're gonna pocket this.
Okay.
And say for another podcast, so I think we can have a good debate about that.
We'll have a tribalism
Done.
podcast, and we'll play some tribal
Back to
music.
more fun things like depression.
But my point, I don't know where my point's going. My point being is I still think that there's a generation where you still have to be a man's a man and a girl's a girl.
Oh, no, absolutely. And it's prevalent that I think it is changing, and there are certainly moves to make it change, and the whole sort of equality movement, which, I mean, it bends my mind that we have to have a conversation about equality, whether it's down sexual or racist lines. It does.
Well, you know who I blame on that, don't you? Feminists and vegans.
Yeah. well, obviously.
Sorry,
yeah.
joking aside. No,
but it bends my mind because I think just surely that should be fucking obvious that whether you're black, white, male or female, we're all on the same level playing field, but we're very, very clearly not. But that aside, at the end of the day, when it comes to things like mental health, and again, this is not to say it only affects men, because it does affect women as well. It's just backed up by the stats that in particular, when it comes to mental health issues, and particularly things like depression and suicide, the stats overwhelmingly favour the men on that side of that particular debate.
And not in a good favour.
Not in a good
well.
way at all, no. But it's hence why it's important.
No, I think it's very important to talk, and it's very important. And I think for me, the one that brings on my dark days is stress. Stress is the one, and if that means finding something. I mean, unfortunately I have stopped playing team sport. Through whatever reasons it is, I have not got that interaction, and whether I don't know. Once again, that could be a good thing and a bad thing. So putting yourself with 11 or 14 other rugby players, let's say, I had to do my maths then, isn't a good thing. Isn't a good thing. But for me, and this is why I was really bad last week, is just the stress. There's stress, and that's stress of work, stress of family, stress of money. Stress is, for me, is the biggest issue. And
again, it's those sort of, going back to talking about triggers. If that's a particular trigger for you, the default position is I'm stressed, I'll default to my comfort, and my comfort is just being dark and depressed.
Absolutely.
So it then becomes, again, I'm recognizing that the stress, and sometimes you know when the stress is coming. I've got a project coming up, I've got a deadline, new client, or need to re-sign a client, whatever it is. You know to some degree when some of these stresses are going to occur, or can gauge to a degree, which buys you time to put some sort of structure in place as to how to mitigate and manage those issues. The ones that kind of come out of left field when a client phones you up at 3 a.m, we've got to do blah, 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 and you've forgotten it or whatever. So again, if you have some sort of outlet, whether it's tried and tested or even something new, ready to go to say, right, when this happens, I'm going to try and do this instead. It may or may not work. I take on board, I start knitting when I get stressed. It might make things worse. But at the same time, it might be an outlet that makes it better, or just gives you that moment of calm to say, I can deal with this, it doesn't matter. You were talking brilliant, and everything. And then I brought knitting into it.
Yeah, everything you said was perfect until knitting, and my brain went knitting.
Yeah,
talking about knitting. It's not even...
See, it got you thinking about something else. There you go. Maybe it's the outlet.
Me
for
thinking
you.
That I shouldn't believe your conversation. Russell, I think that I'm happy where this has gone. I think that there's some points I just want to take out, and the points are that everyone has issues, no matter if they're boys, girls, boy and girl together at the same time, which would be fun. Sorry, I was going to go down a whole new path then. But I think everyone has issues. I think we just a little bit of respect for everyone, the way they feel. But also, if you do want to talk about it, then, like you said, we're at the end of the phone. Yep. I'll give out Russell's number. I won't give out my number. But you can always find us. Drop us an email. Drop us, search K9 Point Academy and drop Russell an email, or go on Facebook. Like I said, Rob Morgan, he's very willing to talk. There's people out there that will talk. I mean, Danio, for example, I'm sure you could phone up Big Dan. He's been through a lot of shit in his life.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I tell you what, he's a good guy to speak, because he's a smart cookie.
He's a legend.
But that's just if you know us. If you don't know us, then find a friend and talk to them and just open up.
But again, taking from the clip you played of Rob earlier, I mean, that was kind of his point. Yeah, I mean, sure, if you happen to know us, by all means, cool. But it's not just people in our circles. If there's someone out there that's by hook or by crook listening to this that has never met us, doesn't know us, but for some stupid reason decided to click subscribe
on Phuketpodcast.com.
If you need a chat, don't be afraid to. And it doesn't have to be to us, but the point is, talk to someone.
Absolutely.
Phone a friend, phone someone else, phone a hotline, phone us. It doesn't matter. Talk to someone. Don't sit there and think, I'm just going to stay under my comfort blanket of darkness.
Thank you, Russell. You've opened up very nicely there, and you've said some very good, intelligent things.
Are you sure that was me?
It was you.
Cool.
Are you going to do your 25 press-ups now?
I probably should.
Have you done them yet?
Well, I did some this morning. We did a WOD this morning. But I didn't film them, so I technically got to do another one for
Go and do your
today.
25 press-ups.
I will do.
Thank
Bye.
you.
Bye.
Bye. So that was our little podcast. Thank you for listening. I just want to say thank you to Rob Morgan from KIS Fitness. So just go to kis-fitness.com to find out more about what he can do for you. But he was very gracious and said that we could use that clip of him being very open and frank about his experiences with mental health. Once again, just from my point of view, if you do need to talk. Just open up, go and find someone you can talk to. It doesn't have to be someone you know, it can be anyone. It doesn't matter. But please get out there and talk. And here's a full audio from Rob's message. Go like him on Facebook and you can keep up to date every day with the messages that he's putting out there.
I've been nominated by my client and very good friend Russell. Cheers, Russell. To take part in the 25 push-up challenge. Okay, so for those who don't know or haven't seen, you complete 25 push-ups every day for 25 days. You record yourself doing it, post it onto Facebook, and nominate somebody else to do the same thing and to pass it on. Okay, and the idea is to raise awareness for PTSD, anxiety, depression, and mental illnesses that lead to men committing suicide. Okay, now I did something very similar back in 2016, except it was 22 push-ups a day. 22 days, same thing, nominate somebody to pass it on. Okay, but this time it was specific to veterans and servicemen that committed suicide. Okay, and it was for the charity 22 Kill. So I completed this challenge. For those of you that might remember, every day for 22 days, I banged on my 22 push-ups, I posted on Facebook, and then I nominated somebody else to do the same thing. Okay, it raised awareness, and it raised a little bit of money along the way as well, which was great. Okay. But 3 months after the challenge, one of the very men that I nominated actually took his life and committed suicide. And I've known multiple people since that have done the same thing. So the question I'm now asking myself is me taking part in this challenge and doing 25 push-ups and posting on Facebook enough? Can I do more? Can I ask more of myself? Okay, now while I do support the 25 push-up challenge and it's great, and I commend anybody that's taking part in it to help raise awareness, I'm going to demand more of myself. Now my business, my online coaching business, my mission is to help simplify health and fitness to give men the knowledge and confidence that they need to live healthier and happier lives. Okay, so this is something that's close to my heart and it's something I've researched. In the UK, the biggest risk factor to men under 45 is suicide, okay? Men are more likely to die from suicide under 45 than anything else, any other illness, any road traffic accidents, cancer, whatever it may be. Suicide is the biggest risk, okay? Think about that for a moment. The biggest threat to men's lives, is themselves, okay? Men in the UK are 3/4 more likely to commit suicide than women. They're 75% more likely to commit suicide than women. In Australia, they're 3 times more likely. And in the USA, they're 3.5 times more likely. So this is an issue that is disproportionately affects men. Okay, so I'm demanding more of myself and I'm going to do more. Firstly, I'm going to make myself available to anybody that feels they need to talk. Okay, there's a stigma surrounding mental and emotional well-being around men. Okay, we think that it shows weakness to talk about our feelings and to talk about our emotions. We think that it shows weakness to seek for help. Okay, but I'm here to anybody that needs me. Like I said, I've helped many men overcome obstacles and difficulties in their lives to create significant changes, okay? So while I'm no expert in this field, and I know it's a very sensitive topic, okay, I do have an element of experience in it. So I am here to talk, whether it's reaching out through a message or whether it's through jumping on a phone and tackling these issues head on, okay, I'm here. Secondly, I'm going to create some more open discussions around these issues. So I'm going to create some more content. I'm going to post some more videos like this to help men understand that it's okay to talk and we don't always have to bottle up our feelings and our emotions, and there are people that are willing to help. Okay, I'm going to openly discuss some topics to hopefully get more men engaging and to thinking about these things and to understanding that there is a different way. Okay, and then thirdly, my next program launch, I'm going to donate a proceed of all the earnings to a charity that's going to help tackle this issue head on. Okay, I haven't finalized all the details yet, but I've been in touch with a few charities today, so I'm going to see which one is the one that's most worthwhile and the one I feel that's going to benefit more, and donate a percentage of the proceeds to that charity. Okay, so there's 3 things that I'm going to do to ask more of myself. I'm going to use this platform to hold myself accountable and to show up and to hopefully have a bigger impact on more men. Okay? Now, having said that, I do support the challenge. And like I said, for anybody that is doing it, I do commend you. And I'm not going to jack. I am going to get these 25 push-ups done. Okay? So here we go. Slippers off. Whew. Harder than it looks. Somebody turn up the heat. Whew. Okay, so I will be posting some more stuff over the coming days, so keep your eyes peeled for that. And I will be posting more or releasing more information about my upcoming programs over the coming weeks as well. If you do want to get involved, shoot me a message and let me know. Okay, guys, stay strong.